Listen. So Galaxy's Edge is this 14-acre Star Wars land at Disney theme parks. Lucasfilms recently released an official timeline of the Star Wars saga, indicating that Rise of the Resistance, the ride, and the entire park in general is an official part of the canon. So if you want to get the whole story, you have to experience it. They even released a 5-issue comic miniseries for the land, 3 full novels, a 2-hour TV special, and had the main actors from the movies filmed for it.
We reached out to them through Lucasfilm while they were doing the productions of Episode 8 and 9.
I first heard about Star Wars Galaxy's Edge through conversation that Daisy was having about the park, because we were about to film for the ride, so it was giving us a little debrief on the timeline, because we were actually filming the shots for the ride while we were filming Rise of Skywalker, so we done it kind of at the same time.
Hell, they even had the one true hero of all of Star Wars come back. John Williams. Man even got a Grammy nomination for the original score he made for a theme park. If you're a Star Wars fan, then this is like your wizarding world, which you're going to absolutely love, especially with all of the insane details that went into it. But considering Feige's recent comments about having to watch the dozen Marvel TV shows in order to keep up with the movies now, man, this Star Wars timeline has me rethinking what Scorsese said about theme park movies. Let me explain. So right off the bat, I want to talk about the main attraction that we were able to ride opening weekend called Rise of the Resistance. It was pitched as a ride where there's absolutely no line, other than the 3-hour one you have to wake up for at 4 a.m. for. This was pitched as being something so over the top, so immersive, so game-changing that you have to get a boarding pass to even ride it. And those were running out at 7 a.m. The park didn't open till 8:30 the day we went.
It felt like just an extension of the film and an extension of the story. Because we were on set and I was in the X-Wing already and we were shooting scenes, it just felt like a continuation of the saga.
And I'll say this. It's dope. It's like being in a cutscene from one of the movies, since every cast member is acting their hearts out like they're being scouted for episode 10.
If there's one Jedi left, it's not you. Affirmative.
In the beginning, you get to walk through all these caves that were actually inspired by old concept art.
And we found this wonderful reference in part of our research, this petrified forest in Arizona, these giant spires. And we thought, okay, well, how about if we took that idea and just magnify it by 1,000?
And we started to stitch these together, and through that process, we created our own look and our own form. But at the same time, when you look at it, you go, wow, that's Star Wars. The DNA is there.
The entire production value of this thing is above and beyond, with I don't even know how many Easter eggs, but I can't stress enough how going on this thing, and really just the whole land in general, with a Star Wars fan, completely changes your experience. There's a bit where the Resistance hustles you onto a transport ship, and the group we were with actually hustled. They legit thought we were being chased by the First Order, so when we got arrested, I didn't know whether to be in awe of being in an actual Star Wars set, or feeling like I'm in a space concentration camp.
Here? Right there. Where are you heading? Eager to be interrogated, are we?
I love the attention to detail and how into character every crew member was. Even the robotic stormtroopers were given little reveries that made them feel present. And right before I thought I was going to be frozen in carbonite, our hero saved the day. Legit, I was up since 4 a.m. like I said, so seeing a wall fall apart at 7 a.m., I thought I was losing my mind. Crazy thing is that this is actually when the ride begins. They got you facing stormtroopers. Kylo tries to grab you with the Force, then sticks you with his saber. They have a Wilhelm scream. There's a drop in the ride that's similar to the one in Pirates of the Caribbean, but these two bits right here would have been my favorite since it was crazy seeing them to scale. But I'll be honest, I think I like Smuggler's Run a bit more. Look, I'm not denying how impressive Resistance is, but if we're talking about being in a cutscene or being able to ride the Millennium Falcon, I'm going with the most iconic spaceship of all time.
What about that ship?
That was garbage!
Oh yeah? Watch this.
Again, there's an entire backstory that they've added for the park, for why the Falcon is there in Batuu, and lore-wise, it fits pretty perfectly, and it's kind of crazy to think that more attention went into the continuity of the theme parks than it seems the movies.
Because you're a Leia knew it too.
Who are you?
But through the Millennium Falcon, Porgs were able to, hide in there, and that's how they made it to this planet, to this land. They got Onaka from Clone Wars repairing things, but you get a beautiful, gorgeous overhead view of the Falcon. If you have your magic band, which I don't know how much you guys know about these, but they may be the new mark of the beast. I think that it has your blood type in there. It'll inform people at the cantina of your scores if you're a good smuggler on the game. Notoriously bad for crashing. Like, they'll bring all of your scores up to you, which is kind of cool, kind of scary, but the more you invest into this world, the more it gives back.
At the end of the experience, guests are paid galactic credits for their participation in the smuggling run, but it's totally dependent on how well you do. So if you have a really clean run and you do really well, you earn a ton of galactic credits. And for those guests playing the Play Disney Parks experience, those galactic credits either get added to their account or subtracted if you cause enough damage to the ship.
But as you know, I got places to be. I just think it's a much cooler experience being inside the Millennium Falcon, especially with how detailed they made it. Again, don't get me wrong, I love the cast members in Rise of the Resistance and how into the roles they got, and if y'all would have dressed a dude or dudette as Kylo to chase us, that would be an automatic 10 every single time. But personally, I'll take the 3 different experiences in Smugglers and the 2 routes in Resistance. Yeah, the role of engineer may just be pressing buttons, but I don't mind chilling like Baby Yoda for a bit. Again, being a shooter is cool, especially if your record gets recorded, and obviously being a pilot is on a whole nother level because of the perspective that you get being in the front. That said, if you got kids manning the entire ride, you probably just wasted 60 minutes for no reason. I walked in here and I didn't know who was a cast member and who was a customer. They got Rex from Star Tours out here as a DJ, and I believe is still voiced by Pee Wee Herman himself. When I got ID'd for drinks at 8 o'clock in the morning, I got called a Wookiee. I got this fuzzy drink, which, again, being up since 4 a.m. standing made me think I was slowly losing my motor functions, but my tongue and lips started numbing like I got slipped a galactic roofie, and it turns out that that's actually what the fuzz is supposed to do on top of the drink, so while it scared the crap out of me, I highly recommend bringing your nearest and dearest friends and watching them flip out. You'd think with how packed the place was that they'd rush you up, and instead they saw Alina recording with her GoPro and they encouraged us to walk around and get a feel for the whole place, which I really appreciated that. They gave us all these cool collectibles that were also marked as first edition, so I'm appreciative that my kids can now go to college, and I got to try the blue milk that even came with a cookie. Never really messed with the cookie, but the blue milk... The blue milk was aight. It grew on me a bit, but I really missed out on not trying the green milk. Overall, I think as these parks continue to get that DLC added to them, as they continue to expand, we're going to see a lot of big competition going down in Orlando between Disney and Universal, who's creating that 3rd Nintendo park. They're going to have a real Pokemon Go. It's over. But even within Disney, I think the addition of Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge have turned Hollywood Studios in Florida as a whole day park as opposed to what it was before. So from a theme park review, incredible. If you're a Star Wars fan who started watching 40 plus years ago and you now get to ride the freaking Millennium Falcon, this has to be one of the best vacations of all time for you. In terms of this timeline and from the movie's perspective, from a story perspective, I appreciate all of the things that they're able to add to the lore. It definitely makes you feel like you're a character in Star Wars, but I wouldn't say it's necessary. I'm definitely not a fan of making something outside of the movies imperative to not watch, but spend your money on, especially considering that my tickets were $120 a piece for the one park. That doesn't include the $200 lightsabers, obviously. The Build-A-Droid shop is honestly incredible, but that would be more money. Blue, green, regular milk, it's never been free. And with the Star Wars hotel ship thingy that they're building, I kind of have a bad feeling about them blocking out the park, considering how it's laid out in Hollywood Studios, and there may be blackout days where the only way that it's accessible is if you're staying at the super expensive hotel that's connected, not to mention all the families who arrived an hour early to the park and didn't even get to ride the main ride. So just to be clear, I'm not for this DLC EA Games way of thinking that in order to get the full story, you have to come to a theme park or buy extra stuff. I don't really like the way it seems that Marvel is going, but that's why I love YouTube, and there are dozens of people I follow here when it comes to something as massive as Disney, who keep you up to date, who tell you how to maximize your vacation to the best. They put you in on the know, and I do think it's worth visiting, but I'm glad that the internet gives people a peek who may not be able to have the opportunity to go. Just like I try to do with movies, because I know that when you take your family to a movie theater and you even try to stop at the concessions, That may come out just as expensive as a Disney trip. Overall, it's a living, breathing land that changes. It's a functioning town that obviously employs the cast members, but as I had just mentioned, people making a living just covering the changes within these parks. People legit are treating it like a mini Westworld, where they got their annual pass and they're coming back to update those scores that I was telling you about. They're revisiting with a vengeance, and they give you a lot to do. It's super immersive. Get lost in the marketplace, and for 1 second, you may forget you're in a Disney park. Since it takes place during the age of the Resistance, they have Rey out there trying to recruit your kids in the middle of it all. Kylo's out there trying to kiss Rey. It's very immersive, and it has all of these little cool details, from footprints in the ground to an app that lets you hack into the Millennium Falcon and actually sets things off like the Harry Potter ones do at Universal. So considering how interactive everything is, it really does matter who you go with. And after getting to go on both of these rides, it's safe to say that the new best ride at Disney are the Skyliners. Like, honestly, the gondolas are free. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'm curious to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Big shout out to Chase. Some of you may have seen him on the Intercut podcast, and he's helped edit over here. He is a photographer over at Disney, our boy, so if you ever see him in Disney World, go say hi to him. I'm sure he's gonna love it. But also a big shout out to Shavonda and Desi, who I've given them a shout out before. They're great friends of the channel, and they're also always helping us and overseeing us whenever we're at Disney. So I really appreciate their help as well. And honestly, if you have a chance to go, I think the rule that they've been saying is that there's still a lot of fixes going on in 2020, and I'm a big theme park guy. I may create a whole channel just to do theme park reviews, because I grew up with theme parks, but I think in 2021, they're going to have so much of the stuff, like not just the Star Wars thing, but it'll be like the first year of everyone packing to go to Star Wars. They're also going to have the Ratatouille ride. They're going to have like the Tron ride. There's going to be so many other things that are coming out. So, including the Universal stuff of having the Nintendo World, man, it's going to be crazy. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be happening. And I'm really hoping that the competition helps like adjust the prices so that it's not as expensive as they should be. At least I hope, but it's just interesting. Like I was saying, how all of the attention that goes into the theme park, I really appreciate it. I think it's really cool. Look at this picture right here. They were talking about how they're going to even be updating stuff. I mean, when someone says have patience, maybe they don't know what's going to happen when it comes to like some of the differences that the movies are going to bring, but I think it's interesting. It's intriguing because no matter how you feel about Star Wars, I like that they've kept like the core essence, you know. Again, no matter how you feel about Star Wars, I think we all agree Johnny Boy has been the best part, so it's dope to see him get nominated for a Grammy with the work he's still doing. But I'm curious to know your thoughts. If you've been to the park, let me know any of the interesting things that I may have missed that you think people should check out. If there's any differences between the one in California and the one in Orlando, I've only been to the one in Orlando, but I'm curious to see if there's anything that one park has that the other one doesn't. Really anything dealing with theme parks, Disney, all that other stuff. But until next time, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll send you some blue milk.